We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to the June 28, 2018 meeting for the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair of the commission, and joining me today is Commissioner Shelley Bueller. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Commissioner Bob Archer. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's very exciting to have the very first item to be as the former 4-H'er and a parent of a 4-H'er. I'm very excited about our first item. Madam Clerk, if we could.
Item 1, proclamations, presentations. Number 1, update on 4-H and introduction of the Shawnee County Fair King and Queen.
Good morning, Commission. Candace Mearpool, Shawnee County 4-H. And I'm going to start my slideshow. That one over there is a little hard to read. These are just some pictures for you to look at. Does that say from beginning? Okay. Perfect. Okay, that way you don't have to look at me the whole time. So, on Shawnee County 4-H, we're kind of in our busy time right now. On June 13th, we had 51 campers and 13 camp counselors go to Rock Springs 4-H Center for 4 nights. If you've never been to a beautiful place, and it's just south of Junction City, owned by the Kansas 4-H Foundation. We had a hot week, but I would say camp was still a success. Came home with, I'm pretty for sure, the same 51 4-H'ers. Here because of some scholarships we were able to offer with Johnsonville Sausage provide a great camp scholarship for our county campers, and Capitol Federal Foundation provides our bus to and from camp for us. And so that really makes it, especially when families are usually sending more than one youth, tuition for our 4-day, 3-night camp is $220, but with our scholarships it brings it down to $100 a youth. So we try to get as many kids there as we can. Camp's a great place for youth to practice independence in a safe environment. They're away from home, cell phones, computers, TVs for 4 whole days, and they make it. They belong, and they're learning how to be their own person while living with 7 new peers and having 2 counselors in charge of their cabin. You can try horseback riding, archery, geocaching, mountain biking, just to name a few things. Maybe something will spark a lifelong interest that they learned about at camp. So it's not just a week away from mom and dad, it's a very valuable experience in a youth summer. Shawnee County 4-H this summer is also partnering with the Topeka Shawnee County Public Library. First Saturday of every month, we're having 4-H in the library, where 4-H team leaders introduce a project with a hands-on activity so youth can learn more about 4-H. That's been a success so far. And on July 16th, I'm going to be leading 2 sessions on robotics, and we're going to be making toothbrush robots for about 50 youth, and the library is providing the supplies so that they can take those home.
Great.
And then at the end of the July, we have a little thing called the Shawnee County Fair. Weekends in July, but the fair where we're filling the Domer and Expo Hall is July 26th through the 29th. You're going to see the work of about 400 Shawnee County 4-H'ers and FFA members, and last year we had 200 exhibits, and this year we're hoping for more. So we're up to and all the mastery that they're learning in 4-H, and we also have our pancake feed. I know you guys have been before. For Shawnee County 4-H Events Council, and that funds our entire year of countywide events. And you from Perkins. These well-dressed individuals are with me today. At the fair, we crown the Shawnee County 4-H Fair King and Queen. Right after the fair, but these are very busy individuals. So, I like about 4-H.
Great. So my name's Matt.
Why don't you come to the
microphone?
Might help. All right, so my name is Matt Craneville. I'm the Shawnee County 4-H King for the 2017-2018 year. I've been in 4-H for about 12 years now, mainly involved in the dog project, which is kind of what you see on TV with the Westminster, showing the pretty dogs and stuff like that. But, there's more to it that I've learned after being in the project for over a decade. And one of the big things is, like my extension agent talked about, Candace Smearpool, is there's a lot of leadership involved. So I've held multiple positions throughout my time there. So I've been president and secretary, and 2 years as the treasurer. So that was fun. We also talked about the Shawnee County Fair. So that's kind of the big role that the King and Queen play there, is kind of being a role model for all the kids there, kind of give them something to look forward to as the older kids, and when they're younger, something to work towards, and kind of the end goal. So I am, like she said, a senior, so this is my last year in 4-H. So it was a fun time, and I guess I kind of made it to King, so here I am kind of enjoying that. Yes, hopefully. So getting over that, it's been fun. I enjoyed it, and Dog Project's really where I kind of took my role and concentrated on helping youth. So,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tamara McConnell, and I'm the 2017-18 Shawnee County Fair Queen. So my community club is Auburn 4-H Club. However, I am in many different clubs across the county. I have held many different offices, president of many different clubs for multiple years, and I am also the countywide clothing and textiles leader. So clothing and textiles is my main project, and that's where I focus a lot of my time and energy with leadership and community service. And that's actually where I found my passion and my major. So that's pretty exciting. This will be my last fair in 4-H, which is really sad, but then after that, I can start volunteering even more at the fair, so I'm really excited about that.
Wow, great.
Very good.
I'm trying to get this off of here.
I was just going to ask, where are you both going to school?
I will be going to K-State.
Okay.
And she's going to major in apparel and textile design.
Oh,
Congratulations.
And I'll be majoring in forestry up in Stevens Point, Wisconsin.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Good. Congratulations. Good luck.
Very good.
Yeah. Excellent.
Thank you very much. And as Candace maybe didn't say, your fair entries for 4-H are due today. So we may have been working on that last night.
So tomorrow, if you bring it in tomorrow, it's late. Yeah.
Due today.
Due today.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us, and we're very proud to have you be representatives of Shawnee County. So congratulations and good luck in all your future endeavors.
Yeah, definitely.
Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 2 under proclamations, presentations, recognition and approval of the appointment of Matthew McGuirk to the Civil Service Board as Commissioner Cook's appointee.
Commissioners, my appointee to the Civil Service Board, Darren Root, had to step down due to conflicts and increased workload with the Kansas Department of Aging and Disability, and I have nominated Matthew McGuirk to fulfill his spot. Matthew is a graduate of the Washburn School of Law. He is an attorney in Topeka. He is employed with Sene Construction, and very active in the community, and I would move for him to be appointed to the Civil Service Board.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Congratulations and good luck.
Commissioner,
Yes.
I might just add, that is a 3-member board, and Gary Ross has been my appointee on that board. He's been a true and faithful servant and has served on that for a long time. I just want to say thank you to him. He's hung in there, so I
Yes.
just wanted to say that publicly. I appreciate his service.
Absolutely. I think it's great. We would not be able to accomplish as much as we do without all of the citizens that step forward.
Definitely.
But thank you, Mr. Ross, for everything.
Yeah.
Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 3, schematic presentation and discussion of plans for the Kansas Expo Center renovations.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chuck Smith, HTK Architects. Bring this up real quick. All right, so we're here today to present the final schematic design documents In lieu of the very, very large administrative review document set here, I've kind of pared this down for time and detail to some kind of key points, or basically what's this thing going to look like, and then we'll talk a little bit about scheduling as well as where we're at with estimates. So there's not a lot that's changed since the last time we saw this. Really, it was moving from that to this kind of formalized final set of images here. I can't see the, looking for the, awesome. All right. So I'm going to start from the top to the bottom. This is a site development plan for schematic design. As we reported before, really the project is comprised of kind of four major components. The expansion and renovation of Domer, which is across the top of the sheet. The expansion and renovation of Landon and Expo Hall, which is the primary complex, as well as a site development package, which is replacing parking throughout and improving pedestrian and primarily vehicular circulation, and hopefully improve the efficiency of parking as well. So real quick, step back into that. When we talk about the expansion of Domer and renovation of Domer, we'll start to the right to the left. Being in the green and the yellow is the existing Domer stall barn, as well as in the yellow, the existing warm-up arena. These really consist of improving power for stalling, asphalt floors, improving ventilation, improving lighting, and in the warm-up arena, as well as insulation values in both of these. And ventilation, we will be still enclosing the east side of the warm-up arena and providing both event access doors as well as pedestrian doors and egress. Also included is, of course, the restroom renovations and accessibility issues that we need to address for the complex. Moving over, the first red box to the left of the yellow box is the existing Domer Arena. Again, it's generally characterized as modernizing the facility, bringing it up to what industry standards ought to be for a space like that. So freshening up the look. We're going to have some roof renovation we need to do, roof structure renovation we need to do. I think we know that we're on some project that's already in place to get some of the insulation down there as well. We're going to have update the concessions area as well, and a fresh look. Again, maybe the opportunity for some additional product to be delivered there to the patrons. Stall barn, or the restrooms, again, are updated, modernized, and accessibility. And then the very far left is the expansion of Domer, or a second arena. As you know, in master plan, this was detached. It's now been through a lot of discussion with patrons, a lot of discussion with the community, needed to be attached. The other part of it was an open arena, and now it's an enclosed arena. When we enclosed it, we also needed to bring in, kicked in some code issues, better ventilation, obviously. We needed to address public restrooms, and we needed to address some physical seating needs there. So this space will include new restrooms, a large area for portables, for bringing the concessions into that space, fixed seating up to 1,400 in this facility, and it'll be a larger performing area than the current Domer Arena is. It will set directly to the south of the existing Domer Arena. Quickly, in the bottom diagram there, a large one is just, the notion is that as the events get larger or larger events come, we can expand existing stalling into the warm-up arena, get around 340. As the largest events come or scheduled for this event, then we would look at turning Landa into the second arena. Domer Arena would become a large warm-up arena, and then the new arena would be in place, and then have a large expanded expo hall for those types of events. So we feel like this is a good solution for the kind of the normal activities and events that happen, but the ability to start to expand and grow and then even cover a very large event. So then the Expo Hall and Landon composite plan here.
Chuck,
Yeah.
if we could,
Yep.
let's take just a quick break right here.
Yep.
Just anticipating, we have a number of people in the public that are here, and I'm sure that we'll have a lot of questions, and rather than us get all over the place when we get to the public inquiry or discussion, if we can just take each kind of component and looking at the Domer, and then the Landon, and then the Expo Hall as those three renovation pieces. First, if commissioners, if there's any questions about the Domer arena part. All right, if we could, I know this is a little bit unorthodox for us to do it in this manner, but just in the sake of time and interest and making sure we focus our questions in on the parts that you may be more concerned about, because I know that we have some people that are very equestrian-related, we have some people that are very sports-related, we have some people that are more convention-related, and so the people that are convention and exhibition space-related probably don't care about the equestrian part. The equestrian people probably don't care about as much about the sports part. Let's focus in on the parts that are most important so we make sure we tailor our comments.
Sure, absolutely.
If there's anybody from the public that has a question so far as it relates to the Domer Arena, not just the Domer Arena part that's been presented so far, I'd ask you to come forward and ask any inquiry that you may have.
Good morning. Thank you for having us here today and allow us to speak. My name is Justine State, and I represent Kansas Horse Council. As we've expressed in the past, we're super excited about the opportunity for the expansion project. My question for Chuck at the moment is, because I couldn't see from back there, what would the overall dimension potentially be if that full length of the expansion project, so the addition plus the existing Domer, what would that overall arena space look like?
So it'll still remain as two separate arenas.
Okay.
There'll be a wall between it. It's a code issue.
Okay,
But there'll be access between the two arenas.
great.
The new arena is about 330 feet long,
Okay.
and the existing arena is about 270 feet long.
Thank you. Okay.
Any other questions? All right. Now let's go on to the
right.
Landon Arena.
All right. So the big move, an option 4 as we came into schematic design was to reconsider how we provided this multi-purpose space and move it really and attach it where it'd be much more beneficial and useful for the overall complex as an expansion to Expo Hall. So the yellow that you see on the right end of this is the expansion of Expo Hall. This will increase the space almost twice the size. It's adding, in terms of a very functional floor space. It will also be able to add some needed services and be able to deliver some needed products, and I'll go into that in a large plan in a little bit. The big move on Landon is really centered around the idea of patron experience, modernizing the facility to be able to attract events and promoters into this facility, and then really providing opportunities to expand the revenues through obviously more events, bigger events or different types of event types, but also through sponsorship and advertising types of things. So the big move on it is along the very bottom end, you'll see a red and gray box. That's a new entrance addition to the building. It provides a better flow. It provides accessibility issues. It gets rid of those exterior stairs that are not the greatest on the planet for, especially in the winter months or inclement weather. As well as provides the opportunity for us to add much-needed restrooms and some of the accessibility issues that we need to solve with the project. And then the arena is primarily renovations. So I think the big moves in the arena, obviously, we're going to replace seating. We're renovating all the restrooms, accessibility in all the restrooms. And again, the idea of adding another layer of opportunity for improved revenue through some premium seating options with loge and suites, and then really focusing on the patron experience. What do we need to do to modernize this? What do we need to do to offer additional types of products? What do we need to do to offer additional types of revenue generation items? So we're expanding We're expanding on the lower level. We're renovating locker rooms, both team locker rooms as well as expanding locker rooms for sporting events. We're renovating showrooms or star rooms, if you will, and lounges, production offices. And then on the lower level of the expansion down here on the south edge where the entrance is will be a support space for beer coolers as well as storage, event storage material, and then exit stairs on the very end, as well as the entrance sequence. In the entrance sequence here, we'll be able to come in through a vestibule and be able to have two options for control, whether it's security or operations. We can either go directly into the existing entry complex and ticketing complex, or we can go directly into the entrance sequence, and there will likely be a couple options depending on if you are a ticket holder or you're coming to purchase a ticket and then enter the event. There'll be an access that goes from the ticket area back into the main entry area that under a bridge, which is basically your current upper level entryway. So pretty dynamic space. We'll take a look at that in future. The other big move is as part of the Loge and Premium Suite, as well as supporting the Expo Hall, is to go ahead and build out the master planned many years ago in its original construction production kitchen. This will be able to provide the support needed for Loge seating, support needed for suite seating, as well as smaller hosted events in Expo Hall for food and beverage. As I mentioned before, there's a number. The seating gets replaced. Here's the Loge seating here. Suites will be a couple suites on each side in this area here. The pink that you see that rings the arena are accessibility requirements for ADA accessibility and companion seating. And then the pink on this end is the Loge seating combined in with the end zone bar that we've talked about, again, bringing this facility up and making it attractive for both promoters as well as a patron experience. Expanded restrooms for the facility. So all the green in here are existing in the arena, and then the new here. Through code calculations, this restroom will be entirely women. These two restrooms up here, one women and one men, will be renovated to all women. And then the four that are around the edge, as well as these two down here, will be men and women. And they're here renovated for the most part. We have some countertops, some painting, some lighting and things like that we still need to do in there. Here on this complex here is the expansion, which is currently the entryway to the facility. It will become a larger food court type of scenario. So we'll have a craft beer and concessions area here that focuses primarily on craft beer options, as well as an expanded kitchen here. These will be a cooking kitchen, so we'll be able to prepare food here. So much like when you go to Kauffman Stadium and you walk up to those concessions there, this is the type of concession or product that will be delivered in this location. This pink area here is currently in this area right here is currently just inside the doors. This pink area out here is currently outside the doors, and it goes over to the existing elevator tower. That will be developed as a pedestrian bridge that will have access and have your primary ADA access from ticketing or the entry up onto the arena level. Any questions? I'm zipping right along.
Questions so far?
Okay. And then just kind of a quick note with the replacement of seating. Obviously, we're having Loge seating, ADA seating, some other premium seating that in itself will reduce the number of seats. But the other thing is to improve the width of the seating where it's possible. And the big focus will be on the bowl seating to make sure that we can do that as comfortable as possible without losing too many seats. And then on the upper balcony seating, they may not get as wide up there. I'm trying to hold a seat count number that's not too low. Right now, we feel like we're going to, our first pass through the schematic design, we're going to be around 7,300 seats in the arena. That is down from about 8,000, 7,800 seats. So, and I'm talking about fixed seating here and not overall seating. Obviously, when we can put a significant number of people on the floor for a concert type of event. What we have found out, though, working through event planning, that number's fairly good, even for a concert, because by the time you put the stage in and not sell tickets behind the stage, that what you've lost behind the stage is the same rough number that you put on the floor. So the largest event will be in that same area. Here, a quick note, video and ribbon boards are part of the, twofold, part of modernizing the facility, the expectation of promoters and sponsors for revenue generation for the operations folks, and brings another level of excitement to the facility when we start to introduce video. Big video screen in the center hung is planned in this location, as well as ribbon boards down each side, and I have an image here in a little bit that kind of shows what that might look like. We've kind of went through these before. This is the bar area at the end zone and the associated loge seating. This is what a typical expanded suite would look like, the four that we've proposed here at schematic design, and then some detailed drawings of sight lines, sections that would happen to allow that to be properly designed and good seats, good viewing. As I drop back into the expanded version of Expo.
Let's, before
Stop.
we,
All right.
let's stop right there for just a moment and talk about Landon. Commissioners, any questions about Landon so far?
You had me at craft beer. No.
Okay, a reoccurring comment in the public and on social media is the quality of the sound and concerns with echoes or acoustics. Will the designs and renovations address those concerns or those perceptions that there are acoustic issues with the building?
Yes. So in a little bit later on, but in the narratives also that we're providing the administrative review, yes, we have an acoustician and a video and sound consultant on board. So those have been included in the project in planning and consideration. There's a number of acoustical panels in the facility that we've looked at, and whether we take them down or put them back up, can we, at the same time, if we take them down and put something better back up, can we use that as an opportunity of branding instead of just gray panels hanging over gray walls? So there's a lot of opportunity to not only address the building acoustically, but also address it in a way that we brand it. The sound booth, sound control booth, all that equipment's being replaced and renovated, as well as some of the equipment that's over in X Hall that's associated. So you have kind of a head-end type of equipment, and they're also going to be able to chit-chat and talk to each other. There's also those similar kinds of renovations planned in terms of sound, quality of sound at the Domer complex.
And I recognize this is getting really into the weeds, but the less gray, the farther we can get away from gray in the building, to maybe address it, lighten it up, brighten it up, those would be things that, are important, I think, that it's such a drab building in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I think, as we talk about where we go from schematic design is into design development. And design development is that portion of the project where we spend a lot of time really focused on what are the colors going to be, what are those design details that we've been talking about up here at a higher level. What are they? What are the parts and pieces? What's that branding look like? What are the actual materials going to be? And start to really propose to you what this thing could look like, both in a color and in its crafting of space.
One other question. Chuck, talk to us a little bit about the need for the kitchen and how that interacts with the loge seating and the hotel and what they offer.
I'm going to let Kellen talk about the differences between the hotel. In fact, I'll just let him talk about that all together.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kellen Seitz, Spectre Venue Management at the Kansas Expo Center. Addressing the question in regards to the production kitchen, it really opens up an opportunity for us to provide a better quality product, a more consistent product for the expanded need for that kind of higher end food and beverage offering that we would be providing for the suites and the loge box seating. But to go beyond that, it does open up additional opportunity for the venue and our food and beverage operation to provide catering needs for smaller events inside the exhibition hall, inside Landon Arena, where we currently are not able to offer that type of service to producers, clients, things of that nature. A lot of times we spend a good portion of expense for for our larger events on providing catering for touring shows that come in, whether it be a concert or a family show and those types of things. This gives us an opportunity to better control that cost, provide that offering to those folks. But more importantly, I don't know that our current infrastructure would allow us to provide that type of offering to the suites and the expanded loge seating. Without providing those clients a product that is already there and more consistent with like a concessionaire's offering, like nachos and hot dogs and cheeseburgers. I mean, it's a much higher end offering for that space. These are clients that we're looking at putting in and signing these annual lease agreements for the suites and the loge box seating are likely going to be expecting a little bit better than nachos and hot dogs. So that's what we plan to offer them there.
And this emphasis on the premium suites and corporate sponsorships, that's new, isn't it?
It is, yeah. To my understanding, and I may be wrong, but to my understanding, the venue hasn't sold a suite in the past. We have recently sold the only suite that the venue has to a company in town, and we've seen an expressed amount of interest in those remaining suites that are due to be built out, as well as the loge box seating. And the beauty of the loge box seating, in my opinion, and what we do at a lot of facilities, is that's kind of a dual offering. You have an opportunity to sell that as an annual lease agreement, much like a suite would be, but you can also utilize it as a VIP kind of premium seating upgrade package to a general ticket, where if someone wants to celebrate a birthday or a life event or something to that nature, and they want to bring out a group of folks and really kind of wine and dine and give that VIP experience for a concert, it gives the opportunity for us to sell it that way as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
At this time, I would ask if there are any members of the public that have questions or inquiries to come to the podium. Please do state your name. Inquiry as to, it relates to the Landon Arena area.
Thank you. My name is Teri Roberts. I actually am the Vice Chair of the Shawnee County Parks and Rec Advisory Committee, but I'm a season ticket holder I've been for 3 years for the Roadrunners, and I'm also a KC Sporting season ticket holder. So I go to a lot of sporting events with lots of food. So I do appreciate the whole issue about a more expanded kitchen or offering, because people do have to eat, and it is kind of experiential now that they're looking for. I had 2 questions about this. One has to do with how many locker rooms are there going to be?
There's currently 4. With the build-out, you will have the option to increase up to 8. 2 of those locker rooms would be subdividable into 2 larger locker rooms or 4 smaller locker rooms.
Okay, thank you. And then the next question is about if we have a residential sports team, because it's going to go on for years, where are they going to be located? Where are their offices so that, we can attract a sports team?
Sure. So we actually just signed a contract with another sports tenant that'll be coming out today. The way that we're approaching the renovation is those sports teams would have an off-site office location outside of the facility, which is not entirely uncommon. I know currently our hockey tenant does have an office there. However, through portions of that negotiation, their office space will be relocated after this coming season.
And for those of you who have done the research on that, is that fairly common? That they're off-site for residential ones that are there residentially?
Sure. So you have both options in many venues. Some of them are on-site, some are off-site. It really depends on how many tenant teams you actually have. A lot of tenant teams in more of the professional sports atmosphere have a residency or a tenant occupancy deal with each venue, and they vary everywhere from on-site to off-site. It really depends on how many tenant teams you have, how much space that venue has to offer any kind of office space locations, and quite frankly. It comes down to space and number of teams.
Okay, so currently, there's no option for, if we ever recruited another, in the future, residential team, they will always have to have all of their offices and equipment off-site.
Not equipment, just office space.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right.
I might be able to address part of that when I go on with the Expo, or I'll go on. So part of the Expo expansion includes, we conceived that there would be a second level over the support spaces to Expo that would be a mezzanine, not originally in the master plan, but space that kind of arrived, or kind of an opportunity that came up with this that could be a second level mezzanine. So while the budget or the estimates don't include that mezzanine being built out as part of this project, all of the designing and the engineering to allow that to be a future expansion over the top of the support spaces in X Hall is part of the planning. And that would have a corridor space that would be accessible along the outside wall, not open to the Expo Hall. So there is an opportunity for that space to either be classroom space, breakout space, or if there's a high demand for tenant offices that could be used in that way as well.
Are there any other questions from the public regarding the Landon Arena? Okay, let's go on to the exhibition hall.
Again, Expo Hall, this is the entire image is a blow-up image. The area in white's the existing expansion, our existing Expo Hall. The area in yellow is the expansion of this space, including down here is a gray area as part of the expansion. And then inside of existing Expo Hall, some of that space, support space that much needed and would be built out. So in this space is improved concessions. Again, the ability to cook in this location, provide multiple points of sales. I think currently we have 2. This takes us up to 8 fixed, as well as another 10 to 12 opportunities for portable around the space in very large events. Bacon and beer, those types of things. As well as expanded restrooms. So there's a set of restrooms at this end, which will be added inside of the existing Expo Hall, as well as restrooms down in the existing, or the expansion of Expo Hall. In this very corner here would be stairs and an elevator that's planned to be able to connect to the connecting link that connects Manor to the hotel, so an access point to the hotel. In this place here. It also provides an accessible way. So currently, the existing facility has this 200-foot long ramp, if you will, down here for accessibility to Manor Conference Hall. The notion here is we wouldn't do that, would no longer do that through a ramp. We'd utilize that space as function space in the Expo Hall, and we'd put in an elevator and access stairs in this corner here to both access Manor as well as the meeting and conference spaces inside the hotel. And then kitchen and large area support storage, much needed here, as well as in this location. We've added a family restroom off of the existing ticketing area here, which doesn't exist currently. So again, emergencies do happen with the little kiddos, so we want to be able to solve that or provide for that situation. And then you can kind of see the back edge of the arena and the connection to the arena here. The current concessions area here would be redeveloped into food service offices, as well as the dry storage as part of the expansion of the build out of the kitchen. Any questions so far? The area here in gray, in fact, I probably should have went. Yeah. So this is that area again in a larger view. This area down here on the bottom is the mezzanine area that I talked about that's been planned, but won't be part of this initial build-out unless we have a great donor or something like that. But structurally, it'll be set up to be able to accept that expansion in the future. And complete with planning for the restrooms that would need to service that area up here, stacked on top of these restrooms, so we provide the access to those types of services. As well as these locations here. And this location here would be the second exit that would be required off of that mezzanine. It would also be your access from the lobby into, and be able to go up the stairs and onto the mezzanine level without having to be in the X Hall to do that. So I think we have a good plan for when and if that need or desire to have this space up there comes to fruition. So some quick images of a little bit about what I'm going to see. The left photograph here is standing basically at the southwest corner of Exhibition Hall and looking at it in its expanded form. Everything's white, modeled in white. So we haven't, again, in design development, we'll spend a lot of time with branding. But this area here that you see along the east wall or the concessions, storage, restrooms area here, we see an opportunity to add color here, add branding along this wall here. And then this area up here would be a soffit, again, graphics and those types of things can be added. Again, part of the branding thing, and would be actually close off that upper space that could be a future expansion for a mezzanine. The image here on the right is that kind of food court area. So two concessions on the left, one on the right, and two on the left, with the very right one that's closest to the arena being that craft beer kind of notion there. And the goal here is hopefully to wrap the corner of that and really have a very nice open peel versus kind of a tunnel that comes in here. This is, while it doesn't look like, this is about 35, 40 feet, well, almost 40 feet wide in here, but it's just this perspective. In this perspective, you're standing at that, towards where the existing elevator comes up, so it would be outside the building right now, looking back into the arena space. In this lower left picture is an image from the entryway, the expansion. The green wall here is the big wall that we've talked about. When we get into design development, really developing that wall to be a really kind of powerful wall, pretty dramatic. Lots of ideas how to do this. We've talked about history. We've talked about whether it's history of Topeka or Shawnee County or history of events that have happened here. I mean, there's all kinds of things we can do here, but really doing something really dramatic with this wall, both for the experience of moving through entry space and up into the arena, but also even at night when the building's lit up and it's dark out, you'd be able to see through the glass and see this wall back here. In fact, Zach and I were talking about, is there a way to make that experience happen in layers, even during the daylight? Can we do something in the foreground of this expansion in the landscape that's a silhouette of maybe something that we're doing inside on the wall? So during the day, it's even a silhouette against the glass, so you have that experience during the daytime as well as at night. So lots of cool things I think we're going to jump into during design development that'll really be great. This particular image here is roughly about on the north side or the east side of the arena, looking back towards the end zone bar. So it'd be in one of the suites, two suites over here, looking back to the end zone bar. Again, you can start to see that there's some color being put up on the wall here. The notion that we are going to have the opportunity with the question about acoustics and branding and bring color into the building. So we know we're going to achieve those, and these are kind of place markers for how some of that stuff might start to look. And then we're going to spend a lot of time on this end zone bar. As you can see, it looks, pretty identifiable when you're on that end, but when you're out in the arena right now, it's pretty low stated. Again, we're going to want to pump that up and make it a really kind of a neat thing that's happening and identifiable at that end. Lower left, just looking up into the space, again, across the arena to the other side. Again, the opportunity up in the very high area there to address acoustics as well as branding. No, the seats aren't determined to be blue or any of the branding blue. Just a place marker, again, that we're gonna change colors and take that opportunity when we're doing this renovation. And then we have a view out of one of the seats here in the lower, or one of the suites here in the lower left here, looking back into the arena, just basically an idea of what that view would look like out of a premium suite in this location. And again, just a quick detail, developing something that has a canopy overhead that's identifiable from way out in the arena, as well as when you're approaching the kind of the bar loge area here. And then a quick diagram of, video, center hung boards, ribbon boards actually kind of been stripped in here, photoshopped into the arena, but the notion that when you start adding this stuff and you start to get the motion and the movement in the facility, much like when you go to other venues like this, that in itself brings a lot of excitement and a lot of experience to the facility.
Before we get to the outside,
Okay.
let's take a quick stop right here. If there's any members of the public that have any questions regarding the expansion of Exhibition Hall, or some of these graphics that we've seen so far, giving you a perspective of the entryway, the green wall, the end zone seating, loge seating. All right.
Carol Marple. It's not necessarily a question about expansion, but then it sort of ties into it. And I agree we need to expand the concessions, but I think, as I remember from past meetings, we have a long-term contract with a concessionaire to provide the concessions to the Expo Center. Can they do this? Will they be able to provide this, or, you know, are we going to have to, I mean, we have a contract with them, so how will that affect that contract with the people that we have to currently provide them?
So, Carol, is your question, how are we going to provide food offerings for the Expo Center?
Somewhat, yes, because
Okay.
they provide a limited amount of concessions now. Is the people we have the contract with, are they going to meet the needs,
Let's see
the
if
new
Kelly might be
needs
able
of the, which I think we need to expand it, I agree, but
Let's see if Kelly might be able to answer that.
Sure, yes. So you are correct. There is a contract in place for a third-party concessionaire, Heart of America Food Services. And Bob Lohmeyer and his team have been intricately involved in our expansion and renovation talks throughout this entire process. They do much bigger facilities in their portfolio. They have, you know, a lot of you might be familiar with Sandstone Amphitheater. I know it's Providence Medical Amphitheater, I think now, but yes, they do provide, you know, it's going to be a significant increase in staffing, significant increase in products and services, and yes, we feel comfortable that they are going to be able to meet those needs without any problem.
Okay. When we took a Chamber of Commerce trip to Des Moines and had an opportunity to view the Wells Fargo facility, which is also a Spectra operated facility, there was some commercial food offerings with a corporate chain. Would we have that kind of an opportunity? Would it be in conflict with, and I know maybe Mr. Crowell might need to weigh in, but would it be in conflict with Heart of America? Can we have those competitive? And I think that might be getting more to what Ms. Marple is asking about, is can you have Heart of America and a corporate partner at the same time?
Short answer, yes. We always are looking to expand options, whether it be a localized restaurateur, a nationalized or national chain of some sort, to get their involvement in those facilities. That is not uncommon. That is a very common practice to sell that opportunity to have those restaurateurs provide their products within that space. There is some contract negotiation that would go back and forth between both Spectra and Heart of America Food Services on how that would actually play out inside the facility. But yes, short answer is yes, there is option for that.
Okay. Ms. Marple, does that answer your question?
yes, because I didn't think that Spectra had negotiated the contract with the current concessionaire. And so, yes, because I was wondering if we had a kitchen, you know, who was going to staff it. So, yes, you did, and thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from the public as it relates to Exhibition Hall, or the mezzanine, or, yep.
I was wondering if Kellen could address the advantages or what the thinking is behind, instead of having a detached multi-purpose area, instead adding that on to and expanding existing exhibition hall.
Sure.
What that does for operations.
Yep.
So strength of having an expanded, doubled in size exhibition.
Yeah, certainly. Excuse me. The biggest opportunity for expanding Exhibition Hall, as opposed to having a secondary or satellite facility, if you will, is the interest in the concern that we've seen from a lot of our promoters is they're looking for contiguous flat floor space. Okay, so that's one big option there that the expansion into Exhibition Hall gives you. The other and probably, quite frankly, larger opportunity for the venue in the operational side is we are currently utilizing mini events through the months of January and February. We've identified 10 in particular that utilize both spaces, both Landon Arena and Exhibition Hall. If we can get those events and grow those events and get them all into Exhibition Hall, that opens up some really great opportunity in the months of January and February, which I'll remind you are the two busiest touring months for programming content, whether it be concerts or family shows or live spectacle events or motorsports shows. It gives us the opportunity to program Landon Arena in the purpose that it's meant to be programmed in, which is live ticketed entertainment content, where you're selling tickets to that space. It's a live event, and that opens up even more opportunities from a booking side, whether it be tenant dates, whether it be additional concerts, spectacles, live events, things of that nature. We've identified in just very high-level average terms, if we booked that out on those 10 specific events, which would be a string of about 6 weeks, if we book that out at a 60% capacity, on average, you're looking at an increase of about $150,000 in event revenues. So a pretty significant impact of why the importance of expanding Exhibition Hall far outweighs having that as a secondary satellite space.
So if we were to take July the 25th, 6th, 27th, 28th as the Shawnee County Fair, and right now the Shawnee County Fair utilizes Landon Arena and Exhibition Hall. With an expanded Exhibition Hall, you would be able to have the entire fair in the Exhibition Hall and book Reba McEntire for Landon Arena.
In theory, yes.
Or Darius.
Or Darius Rucker.
Or Darius Rucker. All right. Candace, you taking notes? Yeah. All right. All right.
Very
All right.
good.
All right. Thank you. All right. Now the outside.
So the last time we were here, I think Zach did a nice job of presenting where the outside is conceptually at schematic design. Again, we get in design development, we're going to take the opportunity to really refine these in both the material and colors and opportunities to brand the building. But this was kind of where we landed, both operationally as well as administratively, as this generally is the direction we'd like to go with how this outside of this building looks. And so really emphasizing new entry, really emphasizing changing how the building actually appears as its public face to Topeka Boulevard. We'll take the opportunity, obviously, as you know, there's the building leaks currently, so we're using that opportunity to reskin the building to solve that problem, as well as this new look, if you will, bringing the building into this time frame. So that's what it looks like. We haven't changed that. What we have done is taken those notions about and wrapped it around the outside. So the idea here is that where we end with what the front of the building looks like, we still have other entry points on the complex inside, and they need to look like or read like entry, so that architecture, that vocabulary will be brought around. So in this case, a smaller version of a brow, similar colors over this existing southwest entrance, and the material wrapping around Landon, so it really doesn't have a back door until we actually get into the functional utilitarian part of the load-in, load-out area of the building, as well as Domer in the top image there. Again, once we kind of bring that idea of what entry might look like, and the articulation of that is just taking that kind of brand over to Domer and identifying where the public is primarily entering the two arenas at.
Chuck,
Absolutely.
Commissioner, go back to the first one, the first outside. Can you tell me a little bit more, because I really like the clean lines of everything, but as I look at this from a distance, the kind of patchwork design, is that glass, or are those panels, or what is that exactly?
So the idea here, again, is a place marker that there's a large expanse of glass here, is there an opportunity to do something with that glass affordably to bring some character to the building, both during the daytime and at nighttime? Not that we will necessarily do this, but again, the idea that we need to address in our design development this large area glass, since it will be a large feature to the building.
Because some of the other examples you have shown really show glass.
Yep.
And that kind of classic look.
Yep.
And I just, I hope we don't end up with a patchwork kind of looking with
Okay.
all the other clean lines. So just wanted to bring that up, just
Good to
in
know.
case it
Good to know.
was solid or not, so.
All right.
Okay,
Very good.
Yeah.
yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I've ended today. We've had a much larger package for administrative review. That's 169 or 73 pages long, including structural, mechanical, those things. I don't know if there's anything that administratively was seen in that package that we need to address today. I'd love to be able to answer those questions.
Let's take a time, Commissioners, if there's any members of the public that want to address the exterior, and again, if you did go through the packet, if you have questions regarding the mechanical, HVAC, other items that maybe we did not cover today, please take an opportunity. Okay. All right. You're back.
So, So real quick pass on kind of at a glance on the current budget.
While you're bringing that up, we might remind this is an estimated budget.
Correct.
And focus on the word estimated.
Yeah, estimated. So this is kind of at a glance for the project. So this ties in the idea of where we're at on each of the portions of the project. What some of the projects, as you know, that were deferred maintenance project that we've already designed. Construction documents bid or in progress are also included in this, as well as an anticipated timeline kind of roughs out in here. And then on the right-hand side, lower part here, is where the estimate is at this time for the project with option 4. So a real quick rundown. Again, we're still projecting that we can be entirely complete with the building July 2021, if not earlier. Part of that might depend on how we determine to deliver the project. There may be some opportunities versus traditional delivery that we'll talk about here in a little bit that might be an opportunity to speed this up a little bit. I know that Kellen and I have spent a little time here even this week talking about the opportunity to bring the Expo Hall expansion forward, try to get it started maybe a month or two earlier and get it done by February of 2020, so he already has an opportunity to start booking simultaneous events in X Hall as well as Landon. So we're going to work hard to see if we can't make that happen. So this is going to move around a little bit as we get into it and as we find opportunities. And I think that's in conversation with hearing a little bit about delivery, maybe the positive part of a method delivered under construction management where it can be kind of ebb and flow with scheduling and events. So again, the number one project out was HVAC Expo Exhibition Hall. It's in progress, scheduled to be done at the end of the month, ahead of the 2030 gala and the concert that's associated with that on August 4th. The boiler replacement for Expo Hall for really this entire complex has been designed, bid, and awarded. Again, that project's slated to be done in early October before the heating season comes in line. Both of those projects were within our estimates, so those are good news, and we were able to address some of the other needs needed in Landon and Expo Dormer with those dollars. The Exhibition Hall expansion and renovation and Landon Arena expansion and renovation, we really see that as one kind of big project. It could be broke down into land and expo and renovation and Expo Hall, land expansion and renovation, but it will be difficult to manage that site, especially with multiple contractors going concurrently. And as you can see, to do this 2021, we need to figure out a way that these start to run concurrently. And then the equine or Domer expansion and renovation is the group project down here. Again, I think those projects can work with themselves and be as bid as a project. And again, that contractor manages their time with event schedules inside of that area there. And then parking lots and would follow up because we really wouldn't want to replace all the parking lots and then have heavy construction over the top of them. So the idea with the majority of the parking would follow up after the bulk of the construction. The very bottom one is that originally in some of our presentations before we had the expansion of a production kitchen shown as a separate line item, so I just left it here for non-confusion, but right now it is included in the expansion and renovation of land and Expo Hall. So kind of the bottom line, soft costs, this includes what we learned about financing costs, where we're actually at on those. It includes all the anticipated soft costs with option 4, and so our current estimate's $48,500,000, just a shade over that. There are a couple opportunities that for video, some of the video and some of these other ribbon boards, video screens and stuff that are not in that line right now, but we are working very feverishly, and I know Kellen is, with notions and ideas on how to get sponsors and sponsorships in that would, and go ahead and get those in as a first cost, and then use some of those dollars generated off of that to pay back that, getting those in right off the bat. So I think we have a plan.
If I might ask Betty Greiner, our Audit Finance Director, to kind of talk to us just a little bit about our costs and our maybe pools of, or buckets of resources that we can draw from.
Well, currently, we have two sources. We have $45 million that was allocated as part of the sales tax. The interlocal agreement lays out $45 million for this project. As we have talked about this project, we also have some deferred maintenance items that we've already started on the boiler and the HVAC system, and there's other deferred maintenance also. You have set aside $6 million from excess reserves that are to be used for excess or deferred maintenance for Parks and Rec or the Expo Center. $3 million of that has been allocated to deferred maintenance for the Parks and Rec. There is still $3 million that has not been allocated to either project. So those are our current two sources. We do have, well, I guess there is another source too. As part of that sales tax, a part of that $45 million, we do have cash flow coming in on that. We are, receiving that money. So part of that money, and that's what we have continued to receive since January 1 of 17, and will continue to receive it. But that money is money that was not needed to be financed because we do have that money to use now and at any time. So, like I say, it's not really an additional source because it is part of that $45 million, but it was money that was not needed to be financed.
So the money that we would have are the money from the sales tax, some money that we had set aside already.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have some items that we may have clarified or classified as deferred maintenance, which has yet to be determined.
Right, but it's included in these total costs, yes.
And then potentially if Kellen and Spectra are able to do any sponsorships or naming rights, that might defer some of the cost as well.
Could, but that is not, there would need to be some contract negotiations on that because currently any of those types of naming rights would not go to capital improvements. But as I understand it, that is something that we could negotiate with Spectra, that if they had specific, naming rights or something like that, that that we might negotiate with them for part of that to go to capital items.
So a member of our media public made a headline that said, Expo Center $5 million over budget. Are we over budget at this
Well,
point?
we don't, to be honest, we don't have a budget yet. So you really can't be over budget when you don't have a budget yet. That's what this process is about, to come up with the schematic design, as I understand it. Then that's when, you have to have the schematic design first before you can go out for bid, before you can decide all of these other factors to even come up with a project budget.
So until we actually do go out to bid, we're really not going to know what our costs, our actual costs are.
And I'll let
Yeah, sure.
Tech help on that one, but that's kind of, I think, in a simplified.
The simplified version, yes, these are estimates, right? So it's not your actual costs. You're obviously the 45 million is our target budget, if you will, if you have a budget. So right now, we're estimating that we're going to be $48.5 million. We estimated that the HVAC and the boilers are going to be more than they are now. So hopefully, I'm always the high guy, right, in the room, but we can't bank on that. I think there's some opportunities with some delivery methods if you want to get to a GMP faster than bidding one after the other and find out what your actuals are with other types of delivery methods to get people involved and be able to find a number
You said
that's it.
GMP.
Yes.
Please define.
Okay. So, guaranteed maximum price.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that as we use acronyms,
Right. So that's an opportunity if you want to get to the actual number faster than bidding one project after the other is an opportunity. And that's a discussion that we thought we'd have here right after the schematic design conversation.
well, I mean, what we don't want to have happen is this turn into the bad joke of how much is this going to cost?
Right.
How much do you got?
Right.
So we want to know exactly kind of where our costs are, and until we get into the bidding process, we won't know that.
Right.
Here, I will make one comment, and Chuck mentioned this, but I will comment the fact that the first two items that we have bid out have come in under their estimate. So that may not happen with everything, but it gives us a little comfort level that their estimates, that they are being conservative in their estimates. Neither one of these came in way out of the ballpark or anything, like I say, and both of them were under what they had estimated. So that gives me some comfort level, the first two items right out, so that helps a little bit.
I would add that we have, in this $48.5 million estimate, it includes just shy of $3 million worth of contingency, which is there for covering costs that might not come in under budget, or surprise things that need to be added to the project or construction, during construction, so.
Commissioner Archer.
Yeah, I had a question for Betty, and you probably don't know the answer to this right offhand, but what is in Go to Pica, what is their total amount of uncommitted reserves?
I'm sorry, I do not know.
Okay.
And I hate to just say something off the top of my head. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, from what I recall, it was 12 to 15 million at one point in uncommitted reserves for Go to Pica. So, something to think about. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Bueller, any questions about our costs?
Thank you.
At this time, if there are any members of the public that wish to address the cost estimates and discussion that we've had.
Hey, Commissioners, Joseph Ledbetter. I am a member of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board since April of 2017. I'm glad to know that we're finally honing in on some numbers, 48 million, 48.5 million projected total budget on the Expo Center. I have never been opposed to the Expo Center. I've always believed that it's part of the community that needs to be maintained and, worked with. The problem I've seen with the Expo Center is even in 2015, I came before this commission and saw horrible deferred maintenance. And that was also talked about in that 2014 sales tax campaign. So now we're hearing about deferred maintenance, and it seems like, from what I'm hearing, we're talking about a back door to take the $6 million, or what's left, $3 million, and potentially overlook the deferred maintenance of Parks and Rec, which is over $20 million, and say, well, this is deferred maintenance from years ago. And yet it was talked about as to why we needed. All stand, all rise. Yeah, I've been in enough of these meetings, I know about this. So my concern is that we've had this deferred maintenance ongoing with Parks and Rec even before the merger. I have only to point out that we have ADA commitments and problems with the community center up north that have not been met, and those were apparent even 20 years ago, according to what I was told. And then you got some deferred maintenance when you took over the system from Topeka Parks and Rec. So deferred maintenance is what the subject matter of your resolution was about. We need to take care of deferred maintenance, and we're going to potentially divide that between Parks and Rec and the Expo Center. The problem, what I see, is that the Expo Center has an adequate budget of sales tax. They have $45 million. Even the architects are saying, we're close. We're not there yet. One of the things I'd like on the record is exactly how many square feet we're expanding the horse arena. I did not hear that on the record. Another thing I'd like to know, because that's going to be part of your budget and the cost, is the actual expansion square footage of the exhibition arena. I did not hear that. And those are going to be key components in what your budgets are going to be for that new construction. I'm not against the Expo Center, but I am for Parks and Rec even more so. The Expo Center has about 1 million visitors a year. It's a pay-to-play system. Parks and Rec is used by 5 million people a year in this county. It has an 85% approval of the public that wants Parks and Rec adequately funded. And even more than the Expo Center, it is part of place. These neighborhood parks do not have adequate playground equipment in them. In fact, they have less now than they did 6 years ago when the county took over the system. We've got roads that need repaired, and the Parks and Rec has no money for that and probably should not even be part of their budget. Probably needs to be part of Public Works. But they're going to have to be funded to take care of those roads. We have a lot of deferred maintenance already before we ever got to the Expo Center. But the thing that the Expo Center got from the public was $45 million of sales tax. And my concern as a taxpayer and as a citizen is they're going to have to live within their budget. The $45 million was the budget. And if they feel like they can get a Friends of the Expo Center or an Expo Center Foundation to go out and raise them extra money from the private sector, good on you. I'm for it. But Parks and Rec has at least a $20 million deferred maintenance pit that has not been filled. Now, we thank you for the $3 million, and that is being allocated. John Knight assures me that those bids are going out. He is actively pursuing that. At the last advisory, he reported that. But we need more. And we've got 157 roads, not just one, that has to be taken care of. We've got 30 miles of bike paths, concrete bike paths that have to be maintained. We've got huge amounts of restrooms that need maintenance. And John showed us some of those pictures at the advisory council, and I said, well, That's a lot worse than the Expo, although I will tell you, I'm a little dissatisfied with the operation of the Expo over the last year because I've seen restrooms over there that aren't operational. I've seen toilets that aren't working. I'm going, seriously? We don't even have money just for routine maintenance? Please do not get me started on their food. I'm not happy with the arrangements they've got with concessions, but that's not for me to discuss right now. I think there's vast room for improvement there. Anyway, I am concerned about these numbers. I'd like the numbers placed on the record about what the expansion is of the horse arena, square footage, and the exhibition, because that will be key in how you construct this budget. You may have to cut down the size of one of these buildings to make this budget work. You may not. You may find the savings somewhere else. And a 10% contingency is normal on renovations, so I think they said $3 million, so that's a little short on a contingency, but I think that's acceptable for what we're doing here. My last word on the Expo Center is they're going to have to be very careful how they spend this money. We cannot have a second Capitol building renovation in this county, where we went from $100 million to a $400 million. And it's beautiful what they did over there. I'm not saying they didn't spend the money. It's beautiful. I enjoy walking around in the Capitol. Encourage people to do it. Go enjoy what you paid for. But that was a 400% increase. I'm not saying we're doing that here, but that's my word of caution. Renovations, you've got to watch the costs very tightly. Thank you.
And Joe, I think that we did talk about some of the questions you had before you got here, but if we could have, again, Mr. Smith with HTK.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
At schematic design, the new indoor equine arena is 40,296 square feet. The Expo Hall expansion area is 26,922 square feet.
Thank you. All right.
Go ahead.
And then as to the discussion of the $3 million of excess reserves, and looking at Betty, we don't have any item before us today to take that $3 million of excess reserves towards the Expo Center project. So-
No, that is not on the agenda today.
So that's a little bit premature at this point.
Yes, and we did not set a deadline for that decision either.
Okay. And so when we have our Parks and Rec versus Expo people, and it's very sad that we're pitting two very good public interests against each other, and that's really sad that we're fighting amongst ourselves. Really, we need to be supporting each other, and there's deferred maintenance on both, and they both add great value to our community. And I hope that we're able to reconcile and really lift up the entire community. But the discussion of that $3 million that hasn't been allocated is a bit premature at this point. And again, Chuck, I think if you had any additional input or...
Just as a point, I don't know if we've ever pointed this out before, there's actually just short of $16 million worth of deferred maintenance at the Expo Center site.
Okay.
I think that's it for schematic design. Other than I would like to, we're needing to move forward contractually from schematic design to design development. It is per our contract, it's the board commissioners need to recognize and authorize us with the information given at this time to proceed to design development. So we would ask that you consider that.
Chuck, last time you were here, you talked with us a bit about, and I know we're going to get to it, but if we can get to it now, the idea of a construction manager.
Sure.
Can you lay out for us what is a construction manager? Why should we consider a construction manager? What would a construction manager cost? What would a construction manager save us? Why is it that you cannot be our construction manager, or Kellen in, his spare time, be our construction manager.
Right. And I think you hit on that right there is, so, we're looking for a construction manager. Difference between them, well, let me start. The difference between them and what an architect does. In fact, let me bring that up. Good point, Zach. So I think I'll just back the big gray box on the bottom here. We'll just start off with right down there what the architect does. So really, we manage the design process, the engineering process, construction contract documents, and then the conformance to the contract and construction documents during construction. We do not manage contractors, subcontractors, their subcontractors or suppliers, nor manage their timelines or materials and methods. So there's a distinct difference. The general contractor effectively does all that. The construction manager is a different level than a general contractor. The big, I think, big differences as you go down through these here is really that the idea that the construction manager comes on board during design. They are able to help during the design to look for efficiencies in cost, scheduling, and those types of things, and they become intimately familiar with not only the project schedule, but the operational demands and schedule of a facility like this. A competitively bid project, the disadvantage to the general contractor is they really only have a block of information printed out on a piece of paper to try to convey to them what this challenges are for managing the construction during continuous operation site. And that probably really boils down to what those two differences are for this project. So the construction manager or general contractor, basically, they are responsible for the management of the construction site. They're responsible for the scheduling of the site, materials and methods, organizing and managing day-to-day activities on site, and integrating that with the operator of the facility. Obviously, the design team's in the middle of that, supporting and as the owner and the operator's agent, but we are not the contractor or constructor. Architects just don't build buildings, we design them. So that's a distinct difference between what we do. Does that answer kind of that big question?
Yep.
Okay.
What would our costs be generally for a construction manager?
So there's two ways to look at this. A construction manager will come in and you tell me what your budget is or what your target budget is, and we will guarantee we will find a way to get into that price and present you a GMP in that number. In that instance, their costs, especially the pre-design costs, are going to come out of what you're able to do physically build in the projects. The other way to look at it is you're going to set a construction dollar and pay the construction manager's fees in addition to that. Those can range anywhere from 3% to 4.5% in what we've seen in the past. So,
how does a construction manager save less money?
So time, looking for construction efficiencies, helping us refine dollars. And I think the big thing is really working through the learning about the project and being able to manage time and continuous operation, look for ways to get in and out of the building quicker than a traditional delivery method. And the beauty of that is as they work through the design team with those notions and the operator of the facility, is they're going to be able to establish a gross maximum price at some point in along the way, sooner than you would if you bid one project after the other, after the other, after the other. So it allows you, as the owner, to make better informed decisions during the design process with real numbers.
Can you give us an example of where you've been the architect and engaged a construction manager on a large project, just to kind of give us an idea of a comparison of how that's worked out?
Okay. We've done a number of them. The most current one that is running right now is a $20 million new elementary school. This particular client actually prefers construction management even for new construction, even if there's not a timeline in there, because they see the value in the potential savings and both time and dollars when integrating the contractor or constructor as a manager into the design process. And they like the idea of getting a GMP, because the one thing with the gross maximum price is difference between a general contractor and a construction manager is that construction manager will build into their GMP an approved amount of contingency, and they will operate inside of that. So unless there's a change in scope or unforeseen circumstances, you won't see a change order. If there's any contingency left at the end of that process, then the contingency flows back to the owner, any unspent contingency. So that's one. We've had projects where we've had to tear down buildings and build buildings on the same site, but in continuous operations. We've done that with. Oh, boy. So one that was kind of a pseudo-construction manager was the expansion and renovation of Peters Rec Center at Kansas State University. About a $22 million expansion and renovation, continuous operations, multiple phases to satisfy code and occupancy and continuous operations. So we had to work very diligently. It was kind of a modified. It was actually bid and then brought in into a construction manager scenario because of the complexities of that. It did not benefit from the contractor being, if you will, the manager being a part of the design process. It only benefited from that on-site day-to-day presence of trying to look forward. Their goal was to manage operations and contractor at the same time. So it didn't work as well as a construction manager would work, but it did work better than a traditional delivery design bid build.
Commissioner Bueller, any questions about? Commissioner Archer, any questions about the construction manager?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Is there any member of the public that has any comments regarding the schematic design presentation or the discussion of a construction manager? Commissioners, having discussed with Jim Crowell, the county councilor, prior to the meeting, I believe that it would be proper for us to have two separate individual motions that we would take up. The first motion, and we would have discussion once the motion's made as to the adoption of a schematic design, and then a second motion would be as regards to the construction manager. So taking those up, Ms. Marple, do you have a question? If you would please come forward.
Okay.
Opportunity to the public to speak, but please come on up.
Well, I don't think you finished when you were discussing finances. I was
but
ready.
Anytime.
Okay, thank you.
Come on up.
I don't have my notes with me, but as I remember, have you not and I'm not going to use the correct terms, so you'll have to help me. Have you not issued bonds already for part of the money for the Expo Center, the $45 million?
Yes, we have issued the bonds for the amount less the cash flow that we had of the $6 million. So we have bonded that. We looked at the different options, and with interest rates going up, it was advantageous for us to get that done now to get the lowest interest rates possible, and so that has been done.
So if my math is correct, as I remember it, you had $6 million in a fund to use for the Expo. When you bonded or issued the bonds for the $45 million, I believe it was $7 million in fees. So actually you have $7 million less than the $45 million.
How about we just ask Ms. Greiner exactly how much we have?
Okay.
Yes, the financing costs are part of the costs of the building. When you're looking at the cost of construction, you include the financing costs in that. So it is included in that $45 million, if that answers that question.
So.
And it is included on the list here at $7.4 million.
All right. So I guess Ms. Marple, if I was anticipating her question, was, Ms. Greiner,
Okay.
exactly between the money that we had prior, the money that we've bonded, how much money do we have exactly available to us today in liquid funds? Is that your question?
That's going to be, yes,
All right.
thank you.
Okay, so of the $45 million, we would have $7.5 million less than that to spend on the project. So that would be $37.5 million, if I do the math correctly. Of the 45,000, or 45 million, we would have 37.5 million to go to project costs,
Okay. And then
including architect and soft cost and all of those other costs.
And then we had other money that we had prior to, 6 million prior to this coming in?
No, that's including, no.
So we have 30, so we have
We have
37.5
million in costs. It's just a matter of how we get there.
Yeah, so-
I see. I have a question for you.
All right, so, all right. Mr. Moore.
Okay.
Y'all get it all at one time.
Well, I'm getting good with it down. Okay, so if we have 37.5 million actual dollars. So my question then is, of the estimated $48.5 million, is that including the finance charge?
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. Okay. Any other questions from the public on any item related to the Expo Center? All right. Commissioner Bueller, anything?
Which one do you want to entertain first?
Let's-
The construction manager or the schematic design?
At this time, I would make a motion to adopt the final schematic design as presented today. That's a motion made by Commissioner Cook. Is there a second?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'll second that motion. But a couple of comments. Number one, I'm not real happy with the initial cost estimates. I don't think anybody is. But I think it's important that we do it right, because you're looking at a 30 to 40-year investment in our community. And I agree with the chair. I hate to see this Parks and Rec versus the Expo Center. Momentum 2022 focuses a lot on quality of life and quality of place. And I'll tell you what, I can't think of anything that's more impactful on quality of life and quality of place than Parks and Rec on the one hand and the Expo Center on the other. And that's just a fact. So I'll second the motion happily.
Commissioner Bueller, any other?
Comments? I'm going to support.
So, motion made by Commissioner Cook to adopt the final schematic design, seconded by Commissioner Archer. Before we take a vote, is there any member of the public that has any comment on the adoption of the final schematic design? Going once, going twice. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Again, having worked with Jim Crowell prior to the meeting, I'm going to read the notes that I had, and Jim, if I get them wrong, please jump in. At this time, I would make a motion to begin the process to obtain a statement of qualifications from interested construction managers.
And I would second that motion, just because of the complexity of the activity at the Expo Center. I think that that's our best route.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. Any additional comments, Commissioner Archer?
No, I fully support that approach.
Any comments from the public as to obtaining a statement of qualifications from interested construction managers? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, motion passes 3-0. I know that a number of individuals in the public may have little or no interest in what company's next, so if you plan on leaving, please do so quietly so that we can proceed with the meeting. Also recognizing that our clerk may need to leave for a township meeting.
Oh, no, I don't know whose township it is, but they'll be calling you. No, I do have staff up there working on it, but we'll just get this over.
All right, so if we can move on to our next item.
Item 3, consent agenda.
Are there any questions regarding the 4 items on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer to adopt the consent agenda as presented, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk, number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Vouchers are totaling $1,945,849.62. We have a large purchase of equipment, mostly in solid waste, which is that enterprise fund, $1,023,575.70. With the Sheriff's Office is our second largest amount, $247,769.80. A large amount of that is for the purchase of Tahoes. And then we have the subtotal, or the total for Parks and Recreation, $148,928.67. No questions, I'll move approval.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move for approval of the correction orders.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B, facilities maintenance, number 1, consider approval of 4 change orders for the Expo Center HVAC replacement project, resulting in an increased amount of $29,794.56.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Kroll, Facilities Maintenance Director. At our biweekly meeting that we have regarding the Expo HVAC project on Monday afternoon, some change orders came up due to some unforeseen things, and they total $29,794.56 at this point. I mean, none of those were set in concrete, but Central Mechanical were saying those sums would not exceed those at this point. A couple of them are still a little bit in contention, but we just need to get those approved to keep the project moving along at the present rate.
And the HVAC is still under the budget?
Yes, it's still under the estimated cost that we had projected.
Okay. Any questions regarding the change orders increasing the cost by $29,794.56?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item C, Health Department, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C202-2018 with Ozark Integrated Pest Service, Inc. for termite treatment in the amount of $3,187.80 with an annual warranty renewal option of $400 per year to be funded from the 2018 Health Department budget.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oaks from the Health Department. Imagine my surprise when I was told we have termites in that mostly brick building on McGuirk, but apparently there is a little bit of wood in the window frames, and I guess there's some plywood under by the foundation. This is what Mr. McPeak told me. So we need to get those treated. This contract, we did get 3 bids. This was the lowest bid, and it would have an annual renewal, so that hopefully I will never have to come and ask again about termite treatment. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Move approval of the contract.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Our next item.
Item D, Emergency Management, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C203-2018 with Alexander Open Systems, Inc. for the purchase of an additional wireless access point to improve training that is provided in the Emergency Operations Center at a cost of $828.65 and includes license and support for 3 years.
Good morning, Commissioner. Scott Garcia, Shawnee County Emergency Management. My department and the Health Department have been working together to try to find ways to improve the training facility that's downstairs that's being utilized in the Emergency Operations Center. And one of the things that we talked about is improving connectivity and adding an additional wireless access point, because we have a lot of people coming down. A lot of them aren't county workers and doesn't have login access, so this will be a public access point. So it'll just help improve connectivity and usage, and we can also use it whenever the EOC activates, not only just training, so it'll be able to be used for multi-purposes. And talking with the health department, they agreed to pay for it out of grants, and emergency management will continue to take over the licensing every 3 years. So they stepped up and they decided to help us, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Always good to see cooperation amongst our departments, so appreciate all of that. Any questions?
We have had conversation with Pat Oplander in the IT department as well, or?
Yes, I emailed IT, and they're the ones that sent me this quote and everything, and
That's
then
what I
we sent it
figured.
to Audit Finance, they sent it to Legal to have them look at terms and conditions, and they signed off on it, and
Very
so
good.
we
Thank
went
you.
through the proper.
Thanks, I didn't want to assume, so, okay, all right.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Archer. All second. So second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item E, Human Resources, number 1, reflect the change in the employer rate of contribution for CAPERS Tiers 1, 2, and 3, 8.89%, KP&F 24.5%, and working after retirement rates covered under $25,000 at 8.89%, covered over $25,000 at 30%, non-covered at 0%, and death and disability insurance CAPERS only at 1%, effective January 1, 2019.
Good morning, Angela Lewis with Human Resources. These are the employer contributions that are raising for CAPERS. The CAPERS Tier 1, 2, and 3 increased from 8.39 to 8.89, which is a 0.5% increase. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when we compare it to 2017, it's a $213,000 increase. KP&F increased to 24.5%, which is a 4.41% increase over 2017, ending in $273,000 increase. So these are fairly significant increases, even though they sound small on paper. It is something that our budget will need to have to absorb and we'll need to be mindful of.
So, in short, these two changes in contribution have affected, it's an expenditure for the 2019 budget of over $400,000.
Exactly.
Do we have any control over the contribution rates?
None at all.
And they're set by the CAPERS board or the KP&F board?
Yes.
Just, again, a question that I've been asked before, does the county have the ability to opt out of CAPERS or KP&F if we wanted to set our own retirement?
No, not to my knowledge. Jim, would you have a?
I'll try to answer that question. That's a loaded, very loaded. Be very difficult to impossible to opt out of CAPERS. We did opt into KP&F 30 to 40 years ago. Again, you're looking at a matter of, let's just talk about that one issue. We're talking about KP&F, who is in KP&F, our law enforcement officers. We already have difficulty recruiting law enforcement officers. If you do something like opt out and not offer KP&F when all of your competitors in the market are offering that, we're just going to make it that much more difficult on ourselves. So it's a matter of staying up with the market for that. That's a public safety issue. That's one of the main and primary responsibilities of local government, is to provide public safety, and so that would be very difficult to impossible to do and benefit our community.
So in short, while we don't like it, while it is a rather dramatic increase to our costs of over $400,000 for our 2019 budget, it is part of the cost of doing business and benefits our employees.
Absolutely.
Any questions regarding these changes? I'll make a motion to reflect the change in of employer contribution rates.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
This is an opportunity for any member of the public or department to address the commission on any item.
Morning, Commissioners. Bill Kroll, Director of Facilities. The parking lot that we've been kind of battling on the east side of Monroe and north side of 6th Street, Sunflower Paving now has the defective subgrade that we discovered after we did the milling replaced. It is scheduled to be, weather permitting anyway, repaved this Saturday and totally open, ready to go Monday morning.
All right, great.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby, Parks and Recreation. A couple things. This weekend we have one of our biggest fast pitch girls softball tournaments. Over 65 teams are invading Shawnee County. We're playing at 3 locations: the Lake Shawnee girls softball, Bettis, as well as our north ball fields. We're looking forward to hosting that. Majority of those are from out of town, and again, just one of many of these tournaments that we put on per year. The second thing I wanted to address is that, as you are aware, the accreditation team was in for the last 3 days. It's been pretty nerve-wracking, but we met as they left yesterday, and they gave us we scored 96.5%, which was pleasing. We want to get to that 100%, and it's just we actually themed this whole process on football terms, so I'm going to use, we're in the 4th quarter with a lead as it's going to the next committee, and it goes, they send a report into the national office, and then they look at it, and if they have questions, they get back with us, so we should know something probably in the next 30 days, I'm guessing. But they were highly complimentary of our department, our amenities, our 2 regional parks, our master plan, our implementation plan that we have. They were very complimentary of our risk management procedures, and I think Scott is back here, and I can't thank Dusty and his department, because I think Scott's the one that pretty much wrote that for us. And I look around, this whole other department heads have all been involved. Angela Lewis I talked to her probably 3 or 4 times during these 3 days of getting us a document that we needed here and there. And I'm very proud of our staff for coming through with how we did. So anyway, just giving you a brief update, and we'll let you know when we hear final.
Okay.
Thank you.
Scott Garcia, Shawnee County Emergency Manager. I just had a couple things to throw out there. As you may have known, there was a tornado that hit Eureka a couple nights ago. Thoughts and prayers go out to the community and to those who are responding and helping them out and everything. Shawnee County, they weren't requested of any resources or personnel, but we are monitoring the situation. We're keeping track of it, and so if they do need anything and they do the proper request, we are more than happy to help. So I'd like to throw that out there. Plus, one of my cousins is out there working on a substation, so I get to see pictures that he sends, and they're pretty detailed. But that brings me to heat. As you know, it's a little hot outside. It's only going to get worse, so please pay attention and stay hydrated. We're expecting a excessive heat warning to go through Saturday with a heat index of possible up to 112 degrees. So please stay inside. Drink plenty of fluids. If you do go out, be prepared. All that other stuff, just please pay attention to your surroundings and take care of little ones and elderlies and everyone else. So just be safe.
Great.
Stay cool.
Thank you good to be aware. Any other members of the public or department head?
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Crowell. I hadn't planned on getting up, and this may be the first and last time I say something like this, but I've sat through many meetings and comments come and go, and one was made today that I bristle at and I don't want to let go, and that is when the Capitol Building project for the state of Kansas was brought up during discussions of this project. I think fair criticism is welcomed here at the county. It improves us. I think there are such things, though, as unfair criticism that we've been hit with some lately. We have a record on construction projects in the county that you can go look at if you want to look at how our staff handles construction projects. One of our most recent large projects came in, that Willard Bridge, came in under budget and ahead of schedule. Now, do all of our projects go perfectly? No. But when you compare what the county does to what the state of Kansas might have done, that's an unfair comparison and an unfair criticism. We had the same type of thing come up with the coroner's office. We have a record of privatization. Is that always the best solution? No, but we have a privatization record with Grace Med, where we've lowered the taxpayers' subsidy in that area. AMR, we've lowered the taxpayers' subsidy in that area. We've always had management at the Expo Center, but we recently bid that out. We switched from SMG to Spectra, lowering the taxpayer subsidy. Myself, you, our colleagues in the county, we're members of this community. We want what's best for this community. We don't want to pay higher taxes. We work hard on all of these issues every day. And so I bristle. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit upset about this, but I've sat long enough to hear comparisons to the state of Kansas or other entities that have nothing to do with us and we have no control over. So criticize us. That's what this is for. We want fair criticism. That will make us better in what we do. But let's stay away from State House or other things, because that's not reality. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said.
Commissioners, Jim Martin, Advisory Board. In response to Mr. Crowell's comments, the Advisory Board agrees. The representations that were done this morning were not done in the name of the Advisory Board, but as individuals. The Advisory Board fully supports the comments made earlier that the two entities involved in the discussions on funding are both community assets and should be looked at that, and unfair criticisms should not be used and are not the position of the Advisory Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Commissioner Archer, anything?
Just thank you to the county councilor. You're absolutely right. Anyone or any organization that compares Shawnee County to CanCare, state capitol building, or anything else is totally off base. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Mealy.
No, I would just say thank you to Jim for reminding us of all the projects that this county has worked on and been good stewards of the taxpayers' money. So I appreciate you reminding us, all of us, of that. The only thing I would add is just, it is very hot out there. We have a lot of crews that are working outside.
Yeah, we do.
So just take care of yourself and be safe. Yeah.
A couple of comments. Luby was much more relaxed this morning than he was on Monday afternoon out at the Parks and Rec. The Garden House at the lake. I do want to thank our accreditation team that came in. We had individuals that came in from across the United States, Texas, California, Virginia, and they were very professional. It was very well done. The whole entire community came out, or the county came out. We had Brian Cole, Linda Oakes, Angela Lewis, just representatives I'm working with. It just shows that we don't work in silos. In Shawnee County, we work as a team, and we have a teamwork approach. And then that's the key to anything, is to work as a team. No project is built by one person alone. And so, and I think that's what we really need to embrace in Shawnee County, is that we work here as a team. And so while we don't always just agree on everything, we set aside our differences to move the whole county forward. And I think that that is a key to Shawnee County, is that we look to move our whole community forward. Finally, we talked about the mill and overlay of our north parking lot. There will be mill and overlay this weekend, I understand, of the parking lot that separates the county courthouse from the city hall. So I look forward to, on Monday, coming in to some new parking lots on both sides. So.
That's the city of Topeka project.
And that's the city of Topeka project.
If it goes bad.
Thanks for that clarification. Our next item.
Item 6, executive session.
There is a need for an executive session, and I will move that we go into executive session for the matter of personnel matters of non-elected personnel, specifically department head evaluations and finalizing of that. That will be for a period of not to exceed 25 minutes. And that's a motion made.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed. And I do not anticipate any action coming from that executive session. We are adjourned into executive session.
Well done.
And you have, and Mr. Cook's the only one that has to sign anything.
Oh, okay.
Good deal.
So if you want to,
Why is my son being such?
Yes.
Why did you do this?
Yes.
Why did you do that?
What's that?
Oh,
Yeah.
just the air.
Coach
the-
Cook.
The woes of being the coach.
I can't believe you actually made him eat soap.
Oh, hey.
That's amazing.
Anthony said a bad word on the way
Oh.
on the way to the game, and I said, "We're going to wash that word right out of your mouth." And so, I'll tell you, it made a measurable impression on me. Going, my parents didn't hear those words, and not that I didn't say them; they just didn't hear them anymore.
Oh, goodness.
I thought my daughter was strict, but that's hardcore. Way to go, Kevin.
so you think your daughter is stricter than you were?
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Really?
I think our son's pretty light-handed, but our daughter is, she's tough.
Wow. I think we're good to go.
Good.
When you start speaking, I'll turn this on. Are you ready?
We are back from executive session. No action was taken. We are adjourned.
Probably should have said we are in session on Monday, because I